can't tell y'all. You tuning into the best morning show on the globe. It's Bradham and Emery in the morning, y'all. LeBron or Jordan, either one when I'm performing. Crossover, buzzer beater and I'm scoring. Bradham and Emery in the morning. Every play they on it. Every day I'm balling. Who's the coach? Who's the GOAT? Like Brady and Belichick, best show on the globe. And they embellish it. Y'all pin Ziffy, I'm Ken Griffey or maybe Mahomes. I stay in the zone, whether man to man or play in the zone. They can't stop me. Mayweather boxing, Curry with the shot, man. We just the best to be. Can we have our SB, please? This was meant to be. Every morning with Bradham and Emery.
Yes, sir. You know the vibes.
Good morning, everyone. Good
Bradham and Emery
morning.
Inaugural episode. Glad to be here. First of all, shout out to Dominic Martin for blessing us with that Heat intro.
Absolutely.
Millville, stand up.
I heard it. I had to listen to it like 847 times.
Facts. And we definitely going to be having up here on the show at some point to give us a live version of that. First off, before we get started, I want to say I feel like this is a joke from above that I'm hosting a morning show. I'm going to tell you why. Anyone that knows anything about Marcus Bradham knows that he is not a morning person at all. So I find it pretty humorous that I'm sitting here talking to people at 9 a.m. when I basically refuse to talk to my own family at 9 a.m. So here we are. But that just goes to show you my level of commitment to sports and our friendship.
I've always wanted to gear more towards the morning show because it gives you a little bit more flexibility. You can talk about a little bit more things.
I agree with you. I like that avenue of it. I just don't like the getting up in the morning part.
Well, I also like getting my day done early.
That's good. That's a power move.
Having your day done by noon, big. It's big.
Absolutely. I'm here for that. But so listen, but when we were talking about first doing the show, we had a bunch of conversations about that first topic. What were we going to talk about? How are we going to address it? And organically, as we're preparing to do this, it was a perfect storm of something I think that is going to be a microcosm of our show. Justin Emery making people upset.
That's a fair statement.
And the first time we're going to hear Justin Emery make people upset is this first topic. Justin has an interesting theory about the Eagles and their future and what the Eagles should do to ensure their future possible. The floor is yours, buddy.
All right,
Make everyone
so
upset.
I have to preface this by saying that I think that Carson Wentz, when healthy, can be a top 5 quarterback. So
no lies detected.
However, if I'm the Eagles, I'm trading him. I'm trading Carson Wentz this offseason, going all in on Jalen Hurts as my quarterback, and taking the king's ransom that I will get from Wentz and rebuilding this old depleted roster.
Okay, now that everyone's fallen out of their bed or spilled their morning cup of joe or cereal or whatever you got, please explain in detail why and how does this look?
All right, well, the one I'm trading it to, the team, is the Indianapolis Colts. That's who I'm looking at.
Okay,
they have Phillip Rivers right now as the quarterback, getting real close to 40. He's not going to be there for forever. Jacoby Brissett is his backup. You're not going to invest in him as your quarterback. And this is the last year on both of their contracts. So you don't have a quarterback plan after this.
Correct.
Wentz is under a fairly team-friendly long-term deal. After this season, he'll still have 4 years left on that contract. If you don't like it, he has an out after one season. I'm basing the package around receiving back Darius Leonard, their middle linebacker.
Okay. So, first off, I just want to say this. Here's why I don't like it, number one, is because for me, my thing has always been this. Whenever a superstar is traded to another team, it rarely ever works out for the person that traded the superstar. It's not something that's typically done where you don't get the proper value back. And listen, we all know Carson's off to a rough start, and that's well documented. The first couple weeks has not been ideal for his year. I thought going into this year that would be his best year to date, and that has not worked out so far. However, we all know how hard it is to find a franchise quarterback, and when you find one, trading that franchise quarterback before they get to their prime, even in their prime, is I don't think the move. Because, listen, say what you want about Donovan McNabb. However you feel about him, however you felt about him, he was a franchise quarterback. After he left, it was a shuffling of the deck trying to get that guy back again. You had Mike Vick for a couple years. You had the Nick Foles experiment with Chip Kelly. It was just a bunch of things you just didn't know how it was going to work out. Now we think we have that guy. We traded up to get him. A lot of work went in to get him, and now he's here. So I just, and Jalen Hurts, the jury's out. We don't know. So I don't know.
Well, it's not like Darius Leonard's a scrub.
Right.
Okay.
True. Yeah.
And you need a linebacker. You look at how you've been playing all season. Go and get the best young linebacker in the game that's not in Tampa Bay or Pittsburgh. And that is he's on the last year of his deal. I don't know if the Colts are going to give him a long-term deal. Now, he's estimated to get $19 million on the open market. Now, you're not going to pay a middle linebacker $19 million.
No.
But what are you going to do when you also don't have a plan at quarterback? Are you going to re-sign Phillip Rivers for another $30 million?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Rivers is a stopgap for whoever the next guy's going to be there. And it's like you said, it's not brisket. It's not a Brissett. Home brisket. I'm hungry. It's not Brissett. So that being said, they
as long as you have Phillip Rivers, you'll never be bad enough to get a pick to draft your quarterback.
How old is Phillip? Is he 38 or 39? I know he's not 40 yet.
No, he's in his late 30s. I don't know exactly how old he is.
39. So what do you think? 3 years maybe?
Maybe
3, 4. But listen, that's the thing is like in today's NFL, you're like what Tom Brady's doing. Obviously, it's we've never seen it before, so it's remarkable for now. But I feel like the way the NFL set up, you're gonna be seeing quarterbacks play if they want to into their early to mid 40s, just based on the rules of how you can protect the quarterback now in today's NFL. So what if Rivers says, yeah, I want to do 5 more years?
He doesn't have 5 more years in him. Watch him play. Look at him. The eyes will tell you enough that he doesn't have 5 years left.
I don't know. I mean, listen, but you can say the same thing about Drew Brees. Like Drew Brees, in my opinion, was starting to decline 3 years ago, but here we are.
Yeah, if I was the Saints,
remember that throw when the Eagles played the Saints a couple years ago. The first throw of the game, Brees throws a deep down the middle, that fly pattern to Ted Ginn, underthrew him by 15 yards, and the Eagles got an interception. That's what Brees started to show signs of arm decline 3 or 4 years ago, and yet here we still sit. And when a guy like Rivers, he's a guy that is kind of gonna be able to write his own ticket in a sense of how long he wants to play for. Especially with that defense, like you said, with that defense, that's the Colts calling card right now. They have a really good defense. So are they willing to give up a piece? And honestly, I'll be honest with you, a middle linebacker for Carson Wentz.
Well, you're going to base, you're getting picks as well.
But see, I'm not picks to me. I that's where I get stressed out because, and that's what I was saying to you earlier, is my biggest problem with this is that the value of the superstar and how you never truly get that value back. I'm still sad from 1992 when the Sixers traded Charles Barkley to the Suns for Andrew Lang, Tim Perry, and Jeff Hornacek. I'm still sad about that. I'm still sad about the Kurt Schilling trade the Phillies made when they acquired Vicente Badilla and a bag of groceries. Well, and this is typically what you see with superstar trades.
Well, then what are you going to do with a old, falling apart roster that's $40 million over the salary cap?
And I mean, that's the problem is that to me, the Eagles' biggest issues and their biggest problems has been their last decade of drafting. They have not done a good job setting up the future of their drafts. You go back 2017 when they won a Super Bowl. Look at your main contributors. They were free agent signings. It was mostly free agent signings that contributed and got them that space. They're drafting, but we look wide receiver wise, the Eagles have not drafted a top flight wide receiver since Jerry Maclin. That was 2009. It's 2020, in case you guys are wondering. It's a long time ago. And they went Jackson in 08 and Maclin in 09, and that was it. That's the last time you saw. Now, the jury's out on Jalen Reagor. We'll see. But that's pretty much what it was. So for me, nah, I'm not willing to part with Carson yet.
I think you have to, and it's not like this is a reactionary decision. I said this in the beginning.
Why do you feel like we have? Like, why do you feel like this is a have to situation?
Because the team is in such a bad position as far as salary cap, assets, player development, all of that. You need the haul that you'll get back from him. No other move. Like, you either make multiple moves to try to fix this, or he's the one move you can do to try to fix it. So would you rather make one major decision on one player,
but that's
or
my
a bunch
thing.
of smaller decisions?
I don't think trading Carson Wentz solves all your problems. I think it adds more problems, because what's more important, a franchise quarterback or a middle linebacker?
You might have one though. You might have two.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You're saying might.
Yeah, but you don't know what Carson Wentz is going to be moving forward now. He has not been good this year.
Right, but see,
you can't even put together a whole game amount of snaps that he's played this year that was quality. Take all of the games put together, he hasn't had a good full game at any point.
I give him the first quarter against Washington.
Okay.
I don't give him anything against the Rams.
No.
I give him the fourth quarter against the Bengals.
They tied the game.
Right, but I mean, we got to hang that one on Doug a lot.
They tied the game.
Correct, but I'll give him the fourth quarter, and then I will give him. I think he played pretty well this past Sunday for what he had to work with. I think this was his best game on Sunday. Would you agree?
I would agree, but just because something was your best game does not still mean it was a great game.
Justin dropping the morning jewels. Say it one more time.
Just because it was your best game does not mean it was a great game.
Wow. All right, Socrates. Over here philosophizing.
I mean, they only scored 18 points on offense.
True. Well, I mean, but listen, he's throwing to me and you. Like, let's be fair here. Like the guy that caught the go ahead touchdown.
So
just signed him this past week.
So do you hold the same caveat for the Niners that they don't have Bosa and the rest of the defensive line then? Because if they did,
I mean,
you can't say, yeah, but the Eagles have all these injuries on offense and not acknowledge this injuries on the 49ers defense then.
True.
And the players that the Niners were missing are higher quality players than what the Eagles are missing.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that statement. I mean, it's still like, you know, I'm just talking about specifically from a Carson standpoint, what he was throwing to. And that's the issue. He was throwing to, you know, like I said, me and you.
Yeah, so, but he was playing against the second string pass rush though.
I mean, yeah, but 49ers still have a pretty solid defense, all things considered.
Oh yeah, they do. But they're still missing two of their starting defensive linemen.
1,000%. But I still look at that game and everything that Carson had to work with. I think he played pretty well, all things considered. Now, I think tomorrow, we'll get into tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow morning, 9 to 10 also. We'll get into this more in depth tomorrow with him against the Steelers and the big game tomorrow. But, you know, this is, I feel, another building block for him possibly to show what can happen and show what he can do. Because, you know, you got, at some point, they're going to have to put together a string of something. I don't care how bad this division is. Like, I mean, eventually the Cowboys are going to start winning. They got the Giants tomorrow, so that's obviously a win. I mean, eventually it's going to happen.
Eventually, but they're now missing Tyron Smith for the whole season.
Yeah. So
the injuries are starting to mount up for them, too.
Right. But
the injuries that are coming for them are at their points of strength.
Right. I just look at the Cowboys. I mean, obviously the defense has been really bad, but their offense is phenomenal. And, you know, as we all know, if you score points in the league, you're going to get some wins. I mean, honestly, if they can go through and win, you know, all their division games, that probably gets them the playoffs. And they have the ability to do that because this division has been so bad. So my point in all this is that the Eagles at some point are going to have to rattle off a couple wins.
7-8-1.
So, I mean, that the tie actually might help us out a little bit.
7-8-1 into the playoffs.
To be home again.
Or how about 6-9-1?
Ew. That's just the sound of that.
6-9-1, and you host
and nauseous
a home playoff game.
See, that shouldn't be allowed. I honestly believe that will need to change.
I thought they were going to do it.
You can't have 6-9-1 hosting. That's not right.
I thought. Remember when Jones-Drew played for the Jaguars?
Yeah.
And they had that. I think it was 12-4, maybe even a 13-3 season.
Mm-hmm.
And they went on the road because they were a wild card to Pittsburgh and lost.
Yeah, well, the same thing happened in the NFC also with the Seahawks.
Yeah, with the Saints.
Right, when the playoffs like 7-9.
That was the Marshawn Lynch run game.
Lynch bouncing off everybody.
Yes.
And ironically, that was kind of the beginning of their run. That was kind of like the first time you really looked to see. I was like, oh, who are these people? Marshawn, who's that guy? And then they drafted Russ, I think, 2 years later, something like that.
Something like 2 or 3 years later, yeah.
But anyway, back to, when it comes to Carson Wentz and a franchise quarterback, I never want to part ways with a franchise quarterback. And I firmly believe Carson Wentz is a franchise quarterback. I don't know that Jalen Hurts is. I don't know that he ever will be. Nothing I've seen for him makes me believe that he is that.
When was the last time a high-priced quarterback won the Super Bowl after he got his contract?
Well, I don't know. You got me out here researching? I don't know. No idea.
You need to, once you allocate all those resources to a quarterback, you can't bring in the help that he needs. And that's another reason why you need to get rid of that contract. It's a good contract. It's a tradable contract.
Right.
And it's even a team-friendly contract on a team that's not $40 million over the salary cap.
But but here's the thing. Here's my question to you. Can you or should you be solving these issues through the draft? And don't we have to have that be one of the reasons why they're where they are today? Is because they just have not drafted well, especially offensively.
Oh, we need a whole month to break that down. Yeah, absolutely, to answer your question, but it doesn't come into this equation. Like
I feel like it does though.
You're still $40+ million over the salary cap.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. And I agree with you in that aspect of something needs to be done, but I just don't want it to be that. Because I don't want to get in that pattern where, like I said, back after post McNabb. Then what's
Jalen Hurts here for?
That's a great question, Justin. That's a great question. No one knows. No one knows. And listen, maybe you can attribute to some of Carson's, play of why are we drafting a quarterback in the second round? What is this? And no one knows why he's here. Listen, if you can say any draft expert in the world, I don't think had the Eagles taken Jalen Hurts. Everyone was confused by that decision. And we'll never get a true answer out of, Doug or Howie or those guys of why that happened and why he's here. But it is one of those things where we don't know. We have no idea. And I find it hard to believe they just drafted him to be a gimmick and just to go out there for 3 or 4 plays and, hope to make something happen. Like people, a lot you heard about him was, the guy, I can't think of his name now. Quarterback down New Orleans.
Breeze?
No, the backup.
Bridgewater.
No, Bridgewater. What? He's starting for the Panthers.
Oh, I thought you meant last year.
No, I'm talking about this year. The guy,
Winston,
the gimmick
Jameis
guy.
Winston.
The gimmick guy.
Hill.
Yeah, Taysom Hill. Jeez, drawing a blank there. Taysom Hill. A lot of people were comparing him to Taysom Hill and saying that was the guy, but no, like that I don't think you draft. I think that situation where you get lucky and say, oh, this guy is Swiss Army knife, we can use him in this capacity, but I don't believe you waste a draft spot and draft a guy for those reasons. That doesn't make sense to me.
The more that we're breaking this down and the more we're discussing it, the more and more frustrated I'm getting about the entire situation.
The transgressions of the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
specifically around number 11.
Yeah.
And the entire mismanagement and malpractice of developing your quarterback.
Yeah, and a lot of people talk about the departure of Frank Reich and DiFilippo and saying that.
Notice who I'm trading him to.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are talking about those things of why he stunted his development and things like that. And there's been rumors about Carson being extremely headstrong and kind of wanted to do things his way, but DiFilippo was the guy that said, no, we need to do it this way, and this is why. And he respected him. He respected Frank Reich, and like he's just not having that same connection with the new regime. I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the room with them every day, but I want to ask you a question. I was just thinking about this as it popped in my head. So let's play a scenario out. Let's say the Eagles are, instead of being 1-2-1, they're 4-0 right now. They're 4-0. Carson has thrown 13 touchdowns to 1 interception, 90-plus QBR, all that jazz. Are we still having this conversation this morning?
Yes, because I took this stand after the Washington game week 1.
Yeah, but they collapsed. So, again...
It doesn't matter.
It does, because...
but I'm saying I am looking at this from only managing the words on the front of the jersey. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah.
You need to do this for the betterment of the entire team. It doesn't matter if he wins the MVP and they win the Super Bowl. You're doing this regardless.
So you're telling me you're comfortable with
it doesn't matter
5 years of misery.
Yes, it doesn't matter what the outcome is. Because the better you're moving him to the end of the year. The better he plays, the higher the price tag is on it. And I say all this that it takes 2 to do a trade.
Correct.
The other team has to agree to it. And your consolation prize is that you get to keep your star quarterback. I mean, it's really a win-win situation. You either get to keep your star quarterback or his price just continues to rise the better he plays. And if he doesn't play well, he still has enough of a reputation around the league that another team will still bring him on if you're looking to trade him.
So where are you at with Ertz then? I mean, do you resign? Because here's the deal: if you're willing to do this with Carson Wentz, you're telling me that it's just time to clean house. Period.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I'm not holding on to any veterans at all. If I'm getting rid of my franchise quarterback, which listen again, I'm still not on board with, but if you're going that route and you're saying I'm going to dismiss him, then everybody that's a veteran on this team has to be dismissed coming up in contract.
That's fine.
You're looking at Brandon Graham on defense, and I'm the spitballing right now. Zach Ertz,
yes,
Deshaun Jackson,
yes,
Alshon Jeffrey,
yes.
all of those guys, they got to go.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, listen, I respect the level of commitment because like like I said, this is going to be a 5 to 7 year project.
No.
Of rebuilding.
I disagree. And the reason is because of Jalen Hurts. The reason
you're putting a lot of stock into Jalen Hurts.
I mean, that you took him in the second round. I
didn't want to do that.
It doesn't matter.
I didn't want to do that.
It doesn't matter if you wanted to.
Don't tell me I did that. No, you put that on me. This is a radio show. People can't see. You pointed at me and said you did it. I didn't do it.
All right. Well, how he put him in the second round?
He did.
Okay. He took him in the second round.
Thank you for clearing it up.
Okay. Which means they believe in him.
We think. We don't know what they believe. They won't tell us.
No, that's very true.
We have no idea their belief system.
I'm not sure that they know what they're doing.
I don't
sometimes.
think they know what they believe either.
No. So I have to assume that if they take him in the second round, they believe in him, and most teams that would do this, they don't have someone, in reserve at quarterback. They're just okay. We're going to be so bad for
because you're not really supposed to. Like this is not how it's supposed to go. Like you draft a guy when you think your guy is on the way out. That's when you do that. You don't draft a guy when your guy is supposed to be going in their prime. This is not how it's supposed to work.
I think that this was supposed to be out of the Aaron Rodgers mold, where you draft a guy and you develop him for almost the entire duration of his rookie contract.
Yeah, but Brett Favre at that point was in his 30s, and he was honestly, with all the injuries, even though he wasn't.
Well, look at the injuries that Carson has. We, like you said, we don't know what the Eagles believe. What if they think he's damaged goods?
You were making me really sad on a Saturday morning. This is not the conversation I want to have right now.
You know, we don't, like you said, we don't know what they think. What if Doug walks into Howie's office and is like, yeah, I'm done with this guy. I can't get him to point his feet in the right direction. Why? Like, his shoulders, he won't square up. Like, I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
We have Miles Sanders open wide left to the flat, and he skips it to him.
I actually, like, if something like this would ever happen, like, Carson Wentz might have one of the strangest NFL stories in the history of, like, sports. We're on training sports stories in the history of sports. The way, like, everything that's happened to him in a short window of time. The draft pick was a controversial pick moving up to get him. A kid from North Dakota State that did not play all 4 years. He barely played in high school. He was hurt, but they saw something in him. They draft him. He showed his promise in 2016, but you saw something there. And then 2017 comes out and just has a year.
It lights the world on fire.
Yeah, has a year.
If he doesn't get hurt, he probably wins the MVP.
Right. Yeah. I mean, has a year, and you're feeling good. Even Nick Foles comes in, does what he does, and you're feeling good. You're like, okay, we won a Super Bowl, and we got this guy Carson Wentz coming back. We're going to be doing this for forever. And then he comes back and looks like a completely different person. A completely different person. And now we're sitting here, October 2020. How 2020 is this? Having a conversation about trading our franchise quarterback. Like, how did we get here? How did we get here? But it's a strange story.
I mean, it's what has to be done.
I joke around with when it comes to Carson and then like the Nick Foles situation, because they're both very religious.
Yeah.
But like, what Jesus is Nick praying to, and what Jesus is Carson praying to? Like,
yeah.
Are they talking to the same person? Like, what is this? Like, Nick Foles again goes out on Thursday night. Like, can you imagine Carson sitting at home with the wife and his newborn baby, just watching Nick Foles go in there and do his thing again, beat Tom Brady again?
Yeah. 2-0.
2-0 against Brady. The Bears look like a team that's a threat in the NFC, and he's now dealing with this.
Definitely less than ideal.
I say poor Carson.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it breaks down sometimes.
It is the way the cookie crumbles.
Like, you cannot, like, you want to emulate the top flight franchises.
Right.
This is a very Belichick move.
Oh, agreed.
This is a very, I mean, it doesn't look like it because their quarterback has been there forever, but a Steelers move.
Right.
You want to be like those franchises, this is what you got to do. You got to make the hard decisions.
That's facts. Listen, we're going to take a quick break, pay some bills. On the other side, we're going to get into the NBA Finals. It's all of a sudden got really exciting. It's Bradham and Emery in the morning, 9:20 a.m. ESPN.
And guys, I want to tell you about my friends over at Conshohocken Italian Bakery. Conchi Bakery is your one-stop shop for the best breads, rolls, desserts, and my absolute favorite, their world-famous tomato pies. Located at 79 Jones Street, Conshohocken, PA. Stop by or call 610-825-9334 to order ahead of time. Check them out online at www.conchibakery.com. Voted the best bakery by the Best of Philly Hot List 5 straight years. That's conchibakery.com. Make sure to tell them that Justin sent you.
I love the bubble.
I'm a big fan of the bubble.
I'm a huge fan of the bubble.
I want the bubble all the time.
I do too. The things that have happened in this bubble, like there's going to be a bubble book. There's going to be a bubble movie. I'm in for all of it. And like the thing, like going back and looking at all of this has been thoroughly entertaining. Way more entertaining than I ever thought it could possibly be. I was not into it at all when I heard about it, but sometimes seeing is believing.
Absolutely.
And
The first few times I saw it on TV,
It was weird.
I thought it was a video game.
Yeah, it was weird.
It
and then
looked a lot like 2K.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're using the crowd knows 2K, which was
Yes.
a little weird at first, but all things considered, I think it's been amazing. And like the stories that have come out, the stories of Legend of the Bubble are just it's amazing. So right now, NBA Finals, Heat Lakers. Last night, the Heat pull out another one, and I'm gonna say from the back, like I picked the Heat to win the series. Now things changed when Adebayo
Injuries.
and Dragic got hurt, but I had the Heat winning it, and I think people around the country are starting to see what I've seen for a while. This Heat team, see, there's when it comes to professional sports, you have a lot of teams that play the scoreboard and the clock. The Heat are not one of those teams. They play hard all of the time. They have a varsity high school basketball mentality. They just like if they're down 15, if they're up 15, you're getting the same thing from them. Nothing's going to change. That's their mentality, and it starts with their best player Jimmy Butler, and it goes to their coach Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley and all the things that's been instilled in them. First of all, I'm extremely jealous of that team because they have. I now look at them as a creation of the Philadelphia 76ers. Like we created the Miami Heat.
Yeah. It's so frustrating.
It is.
To go from the process to essentially being back to needing to go back to the process now.
Yeah.
They've never really got out of it.
Right.
And all they did was blow all the assets along the way.
Right. And
you're watching the fruit of your labor in a different city.
Right. And that's the problem with the whole thing is that when they traded away the assets before, when you traded away guys like Landry Shamet and Jeremy Grant, and the list goes on and on, I was okay with it because getting a superstar to me was the ultimate play. So when we got Jimmy Butler here, it was like, okay, listen, we got rid of those assets, but it's okay because we have this now. But when you got rid of Butler, it changed the dynamic of everything. It changed everything. And then so Jimmy Butler goes down to South Beach, takes his culture with him, his philosophies, the way he thinks, the way he does things, instills that, and then you create a guy like Duncan Robinson. Is Duncan Robinson an NBA player without Jimmy Butler? I don't think so. I think the way like Jimmy Butler is one of those contagious, because Jimmy Butler is a guy that no one believed would be as good as he is today. No one saw that coming out of him. He wasn't a guy that you said was a Hall of Famer coming out of college or any of that stuff. Even an all-star.
Absolutely not.
He worked hard to get to that point. So you have that situation with him where he goes down there. He creates Duncan Robinson. Tyler Hero, I think, is talented. I think he would eventually became a really good basketball player in the NBA. I don't believe it happens this fast, though. I don't believe he jumps leaps and bounds this year. Again, the Jimmy Butler effect. Then you have, Bam Adebayo, who was kind of a cusp of becoming an all-star. He was right there. It was getting ready to happen. So then he all of a sudden ascends. Then you have Goran Dragic already down there, who's always been, an above average NBA player. He buys in. You got Jay Crowder down there, who's another great support system guy.
Who they brought in mid-season.
Right. So all of these things created this, and this is a problem. Like the Sixers created basically another
super team,
another opponent. Yeah, and now I think the Heat still are pretty good cap wise, and they can look to add somebody this summer or next summer to bring in with Jimmy Butler, which is terrifying. So as much as like I love Jimmy Butler and I love watching this team play, it's literally painful. Like watching last night's game was pain. It was painful. I had joy and pain at the same time. I was a regular Rob Bass song, joy and pain all at the same time. And I'm watching this take place, and Jimmy Butler is just being Jimmy Butler, hitting the shots.
Well, it's just so frustrating to watch these other teams bring these guys off the bench who just knock down shots, and the Sixers don't have any of them.
Right? No, none of them.
Like they bring these guys.
We have Furkan.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They bring these guys, the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th guy off the bench, and they're just raining threes down.
Right.
and we can't even get the point guard to shoot.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to turn this into a Sixers show.
Yeah. We have plenty of time to get into their foolishness. Let's stay focused on the finals. But you're right.
The bubble.
I mean, the bubble in the finals. But you're right. But in last night's game, first of all, it was one of the best finals games I've ever seen. Back and forth action. The last couple minutes was just drama filled. And listen, you know how I feel about LeBron. You know where I stand with LeBron.
I know. I'm aware.
You're aware of my feelings, LeBron, and I actually felt bad for him last night a little bit. I mean, he puts up 40, 13, and 7 on 15 of 21 shooting.
Yeah, he was Superman last night.
15 of 21 shooting, and you still lose. And that's the thing that's, I think, the way I looked at this series is when I looked at the two teams, not the superstars, but the teams of the Lakers and the Heat, I think the Heat are a better basketball team than the Lakers. I like their role players and their supporting cast way better.
It's been like that for the Lakers the entire bubble. They've always had the 1 and 2 ranked players, and then like 6, 7, 8.
Right.
So they're always going to get, like, if you were to rank the best players in this series, it'd be number 1 LeBron, number 2 Anthony Davis, number 3 Jimmy Butler, number 4 Bam, number 5 Hero, number 6 Dragic, and then back to number 7 when you get another Lakers player, which is probably KCP, maybe Kuzma, maybe Rondo.
And when did he turn into a lights out shooter? When did that happen? Like, he's always been a defender, but now he's shooting something like 97% from 3. It's absurd. Like, his corner threes, I literally start laughing at this point. Oh, by the way, real quick, for everyone of age, I have a drinking game for you. Every time Anthony Davis falls down and stays down for longer than 15 seconds, take a drink. You'll be sleeping by halftime.
Well, I mean, one word can sum it all up. Bubble.
Yep. Yeah, bubble KCP. But, you bring up a great point with the Lakers and how the rankings work. Because
here's too top heavy.
Here's how it should be. In a perfect world, Kyle Kuzma should be their number 3.
Yes.
He's just way too inconsistent. He'll be and he disappears for stretches where you don't even know he's on the court. And that should be their number 3. So basically they're stuck with a revolving door of, the KCPs, the Danny Greens, the Rajon Rondos, the Markieff Morrises, the Alex Carusos. All of that is kind of like, okay, well, maybe if one of those guys step up, we'll be okay. And, Anthony Davis, I'm not going to say he had a bad game yesterday, but I think he ended with like something like 25 to 30 in that range, but it was a quiet 25 to 30, which is weird. I mean, it's hard to say someone getting 25 is quiet, but it was quiet. It wasn't. He had very little to me impact on the game.
Well, it's like their team's just too top heavy, and it feels like ever since LeBron left Miami, back in Cleveland, his was it 3 or 4 years there, and his 2 years here in LA, it's always just been veterans who have a little bit left in the tank.
Yeah.
All jump on to try to push it over the top.
Yeah.
And that's how you got LeBron, who still has it, AD, who's very much in the prime of his career, but everybody else is aging and falling off. And that's what's creating such a big gap difference between the overall roster quality. Like, there's not going to be, I mean, maybe the Bucks are a team that has someone who would not rank 1 or 2 on the Lakers in a series.
Yeah.
But there's not very many guys who you would put above Anthony Davis in the rankings of a series, and I'm still taking LeBron over everybody else.
Yes. Anthony Davis also, I feel like that he had done a great job on him after game 2, and they're basically saying they've taken away all of his strengths. What is Anthony Davis' strength? It's scoring and rebounding. That's what he does really, really well. He is a below average passer. And that's basically what they've tried to do is make him a decision maker. Like, Anthony Davis wants to run to the rim, get those easy dunks, maybe go a little ISO, get the rebounds, and that's it. He doesn't want to make decisions. And the Heat are forcing him to make decisions. And he's made a lot of bad decisions. The Lakers' turnovers have been astronomical, and a lot of it has to do with him.
If you look at what the betting stat lines has been for him, They usually set his points right around like 23.5.
Yeah.
They usually set his rebounds right around 10.5. They set his assists usually around 3.5.
Yeah.
It just tells you everything you need to know.
And a guy that dominant, that commands that much attention, should get 3 assists by accident. Like he should. I mean, he should be up in the 5 to 6 range.
Yes.
With all the attention he creates.
Yes.
But he can't. That's not a strength of his game right now. And the Heat, because of their great coaching, and because of I'm sure Pat Riley had something to do with it. And then they watch film constantly. They say, hey, you know what? We're gonna take those things from away. We're gonna make you make decisions. And I haven't so far in this bubble or out of the bubble seen the Lakers so frazzled on offense. I mean, they're throwing the ball over the place. I mean, even at the end of the game, they didn't get a good shot. Now, listen, as I talked about LeBron, as great as he played yesterday, how in the world do you allow Danny Green to decide the fate of your team? Why in the world? Because here's the deal. If I'm LeBron James, I look around and I say, can't depend on you, can't depend on you, can't depend on you. Who can I depend on here? Me. I am not going to allow, if we go down because I missed a shot. I am not allowing Danny Green to decide my fate. And that's what he did. And listen, it was the right basketball play.
I mean, he was open. He was open.
Right. It was a right basketball play. But at some point, as a superstar, as the best player in the world, you got to be selfish. You got to say, you know what, guys, this is on me. I am taking the shot. Like Jimmy Butler took, I think, probably like the last 7 or 8 shots for the Heat. It is literally with pick and roll action, and Jimmy just did not give the ball to anybody else. And he has way more people on his side I think he could trust than LeBron does.
Absolutely.
Like I trust Tyler Hero in a big moment taking a shot. Yeah. I trust Duncan Robinson. I trust Jay Crowder. I trust Bam down low. Free throws not so much, but I trust them to make shots. I'm not trusting Danny Green to make a shot. Get out of here. No. And he was wide open and he front rimmed it. That just goes to show you right there. No, not the move. Not it.
Yeah, if you front rim it.
Yeah, how do you front end a wide open jump shot from top of the key?
I'd almost prefer you airball it than you front rim it.
Yeah, it was like under the rim. It was
yeah.
hideous.
If you front rim it, you know that they never, when you're playing pickup basketball.
Yeah.
When you see the guy hit the front rim.
Yeah.
You don't pass him the ball again.
He's not going to see the ball anymore.
No.
That's
the only
it.
time he's getting the ball is if he gets it on a steal.
Yep.
And takes it coast to coast.
There's definitely such thing as a good miss. Like I can tell a shooter by how they miss. And you can tell, like, seeing a guy miss, but the front rim is not it.
No.
You don't want to see the front rim. You don't want to see, like, the side of the backboard to the rim action. You don't want to see any of that. I need to see, like, the back of the rim miss, where it just shoots straight up in the air. I want to see something like that when I see you shoot or a miss. But anyway, yeah, and that's kind of, I feel a lot of people, why they don't hold LeBron in that same category is that he, for some reason, lacks that. It's always for him about making the right basketball play. And sometimes it might be the right play, but it's the wrong person.
I mean, his basketball IQ is probably, if not number 1 all time, it's in the top 3.
I would agree.
So he's going to make the right move nearly every time. Now, whether, he should keep it himself, that's a debate for, different topic.
Right.
But he's always going to make the right move, even if it's at his own personal detriment.
Yeah, which is, I don't understand that. But that's looking forward to the rest of the series. Tomorrow, I'm just gonna say this. I've been pretty dead on with the series so far. I had the Lakers winning the first 2. I had the Heat in Game 3. I didn't know Game 4. I said it's gonna be close, but I didn't like him in Game 4. I loved him last night. Tomorrow night, if they're gonna be in the game, they'll be there at the end. I don't know if they're capable of beating this team 2 times in a row. However, if they win tomorrow night, they are winning Game 7.
Game 7 is going to be mayhem.
I would not. If I'm LeBron James, I am petrified of facing Jimmy Butler in Game 7. I don't want any parts of that. No parts.
We're going to see.
No parts left.
I don't think it's going to get to 7, though, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be a wrap-up tomorrow.
I feel like it has to be for the Lakers. They can't go to a game 7.
LeBron has been playing unbelievable nearly every game. Like, he's been playing superhuman. And the Heat are... If LeBron keeps turning out superhuman performances, the Heat aren't going to be able to beat him every single time he does that.
I agree.
And the Lakers only need to win 1. The Heat need to win 2.
Well, listen. As good as LeBron could possibly play in Game 6, he's not going to do anything like in Game 5. He's not. His 3-point shooting was off the charts yet last night. That's not going to happen in Game 6. And 15-21 is not going to happen either. So he may score 30. He may get a triple-double. But those numbers will not be there. So that's the thing for the Lakers you got to look at and say, listen, this man put up 40, 13, and 7 on 15-21 shooting. We still lost. This is not good.
Yeah.
And they're missing the Dragon, who was a 20-point scorer in the bubble.
Speaking of the bubble.
Bam, yeah. And Bam is depleted right now.
Yes. Speaking of the bubble, we had discussed this a little bit off air. And I've actually gotten a lot of opposition to it, except you were on board. I wish that we had the NBA playoffs in a bubble every season.
Yes, I do.
Every single year. And I came up with a little bit of a strategy. Now, it's not fully thought out because the NBA has people that are much smarter than me to work on this. But the rough concept is that you'd have 3 bubbles.
Okay.
1 to host the Western Conference.
Now, are you building a bubble or a pre-existing bubble?
Pre-existing bubble.
Okay.
Similar to what you're doing in Orlando.
Okay.
Okay. The top seeds in each conference, that city would host the bubble.
Okay.
For their conferences.
So kind of like a mini NCAA tournament in a sense?
Yes.
Okay.
And whoever, if you get the first seed, then it's in your city. Now, you run the risk of the number 1 seed getting bounced, but then that's the embarrassment on their own team that all the playoffs are in your city and you're not competing.
Yeah.
Then you have the finals in its own bubble. Now, my suggestion was Vegas because they don't have a team, but pretty much anywhere that's a huge vacation resort destination.
I'm going to stop you right there. The NBA should be nowhere near Vegas.
I disagree.
The NBA does not belong
The NBA needs to have
Vegas.
a team in Vegas.
The amount of arrest and debauchery that would take place with the NBA in Vegas would be absurd.
Well, the WNBA team from Vegas just competed in the championship.
Women are way more responsible than men. Let's be clear. I trust women in the bubble in Vegas. I do not trust men in the bubble in Vegas.
Well, no, there's a team in Vegas. Is what I'm saying.
Again,
they have
the
a team based there.
Is way more responsible, and the women are way more responsible than men.
So, anyway, you're in a bubble, so it doesn't matter. Remember, you can't leave the bubble. And if you leave the bubble, you can't come back.
See, now you're gonna have a problem. I thought you were going. You just do the bubble atmosphere, but you can't tell people. I don't think that's gonna work. Telling people they can't leave.
Well, that's what they're doing this year.
Right, because of COVID-19. But if there's no COVID-19 and there's no restrictions, like Lou Williams can go get lemon pepper wings. You can't tell him you can't do that anymore.
But isn't that the whole purpose of the bubble? Whether you can get infected with something or not, you're in the bubble to stay in the bubble.
Well, I just like the idea of having the other aspects of everyone standing. I think it's actually good for team chemistry.
I also think that the reason that you're seeing such high-level basketball play is the lack of travel between games as well.
True.
A big aspect of the playoffs here is, you imagine going on vacation every 2 to 3 days for 3 months. That would be taxing on you. And I'm not talking about driving down to the beach.
You're saying vacation.
You're getting on a plane and flying from Miami to Boston every 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're flying every day from Miami to Indianapolis. And then after that, you might fly every day from every 2 or 3 days from Miami to Milwaukee. And then after that, you have to fly every 2 or 3 days between Miami and LA. Like, that's going to be taxing on you.
Right. Well, here's the problem. Here's why, as much as I love the bubble, here's why it won't work. From an economic standpoint, cities would be very, very upset.
Yeah, that's
but
what
you can't tell. Yeah.
You gotta get somebody else to figure that out.
Yeah, economically it wouldn't work because cities are going to be very upset that they're not be able to partake in that extra playoff revenue. Like the amount of money generated from
hosting is big.
Yeah. But listen, real quick.
Those bubble teams would love it, though.
They would. I got a bone to pick. I'm going to bring this up real quick. Something that annoyed me. I was watching a piece on Tyler Hero, right? And they were talking about, him being a kid, and he was a huge Miami Heat fan because of D. Wade. You know what the problem with that is?
What's that?
He lives in Milwaukee. I don't like that. I am very anti you don't root for your own city. I think you could be into having players that you're into. Like, listen, my favorite player of all time, Michael Jordan. But when the Sixers played the Bulls, I root for the Sixers. I think it's disloyal to root for other cities. I don't understand people that do that. I think it's important to stay loyal to your city. It's a bad lesson.
What if now? How old is he? He's 20, right?
He's 20 years old. Yep.
So I'm assuming we're looking at late 2000s. He was around this time.
He was
I guess.
Flash D Wade, their 2006 championship.
Okay.
That era.
Was Milwaukee good then?
Doesn't matter. Listen, I'm a Sixers fan from the 90s. I cheered for Willie Burton.
I am so close to giving up my entire fandom of the sport of baseball. Okay?
Can't do that.
I'm very close to doing it.
By the way, I know this is Yankees territory. You can't have JT. Let's go put that out there. He's ours. You can't have him.
I'm about to just give up on the whole sport. As
in watching it, or just because of what the Phillies are doing?
Everything. I'm done.
But here's the thing: that's fine. If you want to say, "Listen, I'm out," that's fine. But you can't then in turn become an Angels fan.
I'll give up the whole sport.
That's okay. I'm okay with that. If you want to walk away and say I'm out in the sport, I'm okay with that. Where I have a problem is when you say I'm now going to go root for another team. I think that's terrible.
But what if he never started as a Bucks fan? Like, what if from day one it was
poor parenting? This is a parent's fault. I don't necessarily blame Tyler Hero. I blame his parents. Where's Dad? Dad's got to tell you. Like, listen, my son is obsessed with Jimmy Butler. Like, every time he sees Jimmy Butler, he gets super excited. And I said to him, listen, buddy. We like Jimmy Butler, but he doesn't play for us anymore. We're Sixers fans. You can like Jimmy Butler, but we're Sixers fans. It's an important lesson you got to teach. Because they don't know. They're like, kids are naturally front runners. Like, you were all friends with the kid in elementary school that had the LA Lakers hat, the New York Yankees hat, the San Francisco 49ers hat. Like, everyone had that kid.
The Cowboys jersey.
Yeah, the Cowboys jersey. Everybody had that kid that they were friends with that was like that. And that's generally kids in general. We don't know better. We want to be whatever. Kids want to be whatever's cool, whatever's happening. So it's very easy to say, like, for me, growing up in the 80s and 90s and the Drek I watched with the Sixers and the Phillies and the Flyers, it would have been very easy for me to say, you know what? I'm out. I don't want to do this. I'm going to go cheer for the Seattle Supersonics. I didn't do that. I stayed loyal. Have I been blessed by loyalty? Have I been given great things by loyalty? No. But I'm still here. So if I can do it, you can do it.
I've watched as much Major League Baseball this year as I have played. And
I don't know what to say to that.
And I'm not a pro athlete. So
we figured as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel at the end of the day that's something that you shouldn't do. And again, it goes back to you gotta just be loyal. It's you shouldn't root against your own community. You should want the people in your community to be happy. And you're rooting outside that community, that's not good. And then when your team wins, who's with you? Isn't it the best when you're driving down the highway and you see the flags of the team coming up and everyone can bond? You go to the grocery store, Jim has on, the Phillies tee or the Eagles, whatever like that.
Listen, as someone who has lived outside of the Philadelphia area, it is much better to be able to see fans of your own team
absolutely
after a win.
Absolutely. 1,000%.
And But however, what do you think about, say you move somewhere, okay? Adopting, I shouldn't say adopting, because that would mean that that you're always going to root for them.
Yeah.
But hoping that they do well for your immediate area. Like, when I lived in Baltimore, things were always just better when the Ravens would win.
Yeah.
Now, I would still root for the Eagles.
Right.
But obviously, life was just better on Mondays after a Ravens win.
Right. And honestly, the Ravens aren't in direct competition with the Eagles, so there's no conflict of interest.
Well, I mean, you've been sitting here telling me about the Angels, and the Angels play in the American League on the other side of the country, and
True.
only play the Phillies once, say, every 10 years.
True. Right. So, but yeah, my point is, it's okay. But you still can't become a fan.
No, I'm not going to become.
No,
I'm not saying I'm a Ravens fan.
I lived in Maryland for a couple years, so I do have a fondness for the Orioles more than the Ravens, because the Ravens weren't really down. They were kind of new when I was down there, but more the Orioles. 'Cause I used to go to Oriole Park all the time, but I would never, ever, 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 under any circumstances, change my loyalty from Philadelphia. Never. It's not happening.
No, I would never root for another team, but I would and might denounce a couple of our own teams.
If you want to denounce, I have no problem with you denouncing. You just can't go somewhere else.
No, I won't go
You then
somewhere.
have to declare yourself ineligible for fandom. You're out.
I'll be out for a team. I'll still be a fan of the sport, though. Except for baseball.
Here's the thing. Do you let people... Here's the thing. If you denounce and you go on record denouncing, are you allowed to come back? I say a probation period.
Well, let's ask Flyers fans. Because I haven't been...
Why are Philadelphia so mean to Flyers fans?
Well, no. Flyers fans are mean to everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, all right.
Like, think about it. They're the ones that are like, well, you haven't been here all year. Why are you rooting now? Because, number one, it's cold inside your stadiums. Okay? You know, it's real cold inside your stadium all the time. I don't want to be in there all the time. Secondly, I don't understand the sport. Like,
what don't you understand?
When they, what year was it? Like 2009, 2000. When was their last strike year? The NHL.
Last strike year?
Yeah, 2011. When was that?
Yeah, it was like late.
That's when they redid the entire rule change to they revamped it all.
Okay.
So they've had what, 3 strikes since like 2000, something like that. At least 2, maybe 3 strikes since 2000.
Let's call them work stoppages.
Okay, work stoppages. 3 work stoppages since 2000.
Okay.
Every year they come back, they've redone the entire rules. They've revamped the entire way that they play. Every decade, the sport has to reinvent itself. I'm just over that.
Let me simplify it for you. Goal goes in net, good.
Goal goes in the net, good.
Goal goes in net, good.
Puck goes in the net, good.
Puck, yeah. Puck goes in the net, good. Puck doesn't go in the net for your team, bad.
Bad.
That's it.
Hit
somebody and get off the ice.
I do know that the Lightning won the Stanley Cup.
There you go. I didn't like the hockey bubble. I wasn't that into it as the NBA bubble. Wasn't for me.
I thought it was a better presentation. As far as I think it looked better on TV, than the NBA bubble. But I'm a much bigger NBA fan than I am NHL fan.
Yeah.
So I just disregarded it.
Yeah. I usually enjoy playoff hockey, but I don't know. For some reason I couldn't get into it. I don't know.
And once the Flyers lost, I really didn't care.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like how hockey is around here. It's when the Flyers are out, that's it. You don't really see people sticking around after that. But so listen, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Thank you for tuning in to the inaugural episode of Bradham Emery.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You'll hear us tomorrow.
Yes.
9 a.m. again.
Yeah, you can follow the show on social media platforms at BE Mornings ESPN. Follow me at Marcus B. Tweeden, MarcusBTweetin.
And follow me at Justin Emery Show. And we will hear from us tomorrow.
Until tomorrow, late.